You know what's funny? Everyone's terrified of losing everything, like it's the end of the story. Like hitting zero means you've failed. But let me tell you a little secret. Zero isn't the end. It's freedom. No expectations. No pressure. No weight of who you used to be. Just a blank page and a mind that's been through fire. Starting from zero again. That's where the real game begins. That's where you stop pretending and start becoming. Because when you've got nothing left to lose, you become dangerous. And today, I'm going to show you why starting from zero again isn't a tragedy. And it's a beautiful thing. Zero's such a small number, right? Looks harmless, empty, worthless. That's what they taught you to believe. That if you fall to zero, you've lost the game. That it means failure, weakness, the end of your story. But tell me who made that rule. Because from where I stand, zero is the most honest place you'll ever be. No masks, no illusions. No fake applause from people who never cared in the first place. Just you, stripped down to nothing but truth. And people are terrified of that kind of honesty. They call it failure because they can't handle what zero really does to a person. It removes the safety net. It burns the script. It forces you to look at yourself without all the decorations you used to hide behind. Your job title, your money, your status, your image gone. And suddenly you don't know who you are anymore. That's not failure, that's exposure. And exposure is dangerous. Not for you, for them. Because when you survive zero, you stop playing by their rules. You realize you were never those things to begin with. You were just wearing them, like a costume in a bad joke. And now the costume is gone. Funny thing is, people only respect you when you're winning. They clap when you're on top, when everything looks perfect. But the moment you hit zero, they disappear. They whisper. They judge. They label you as finished. As if they've already written your ending. But what they don't understand is, zero doesn't erase you. It reveals you. It shows you what's real and what was just noise. It shows you who stayed and who ran. It shows you how much of your life was built on things that could vanish overnight. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Failure is giving up. Failure is letting zero define you as the end. But standing in zero, breathing in that silence, that emptiness, that raw reality, and choosing to move forward anyway, that's something else entirely. That's power. Because when you've already hit zero, what's left to fear? Losing more. There's nothing left to take. No reputation left to protect. No expectations left to meet. Just a mind that's been broken and rebuilt sharper, colder, more aware than ever before. Zero doesn't mean you lost. It means the game just got real. Freedom. Now that's a word people love to throw around, isn't it? They post about it, talk about it, pretend they have it. But the truth is, most of them are trapped. Trapped by expectations they didn't even choose. Be successful. Be respected. Don't fail. Don't embarrass yourself. All these invisible chains, wrapped so tightly around their minds that they mistake them for purpose. And then zero happens. Everything they built their identity on gone. The image shatters. The approval fades. The spotlight disappears. And suddenly they panic. Not because they lost something valuable, but because they don't know how to exist without those expectations telling them who to be. That's the part no one talks about. When you hit zero, the noise stops. No more voices telling you how to act, what to chase, who to impress. Just silence, pure, uncomfortable silence. And in that silence, something strange begins to happen. You start thinking for yourself. No more pretending to fit into a system that never cared about you. No more chasing validation from people who only showed up when you were useful to them. No more carrying the pressure of living up to an image that was never really you. That pressure, it's gone. And it scares people, because without expectations there are no rules, no clear path, no approval waiting at the finish line. Just choices, raw, unpredictable choices. And most people would rather live in a cage they understand than face the chaos of real freedom. But you standing at zero, you don't have that luxury anymore. You've already lost the things they're afraid of losing. The reputation, the approval, the illusion of control, it's all behind you now. So what's left? Possibility. Pure, dangerous possibility. You can become anyone. Do anything. Walk away from everything that once defined you and build something completely different. Not because you have to, but because you finally can. No expectations means no limits. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to follow the same path that led you to destruction in the first place. You don't have to play safe, act normal, or think small just to make other people comfortable. You're free to take risks they would never dare to take. Free to think thoughts they're too afraid to admit. Free to rebuild your life on your own terms, not theirs. And here's the joke. The very thing they fear the most, losing everything, is the one thing that gives you everything they'll never have. Because while they're still trapped, protecting their fragile little worlds, you're standing in the open, with nothing holding you back, no expectations, no pressure, just freedom, the kind that most people will never understand, and even fewer will ever have the courage to embrace. Reinvention, such a polished word for something so brutally messy. People love the idea of it. New beginnings, fresh identities, a better version of themselves. They imagine it like a clean transformation, like flipping a switch. But that's not how it works. Reinvention doesn't start when everything is perfect. It starts when everything falls apart. When the version of you that once made sense stops working. When the mask cracks and you can't glue it back together no matter how hard you try. That's where it begins. Right there in the chaos, in the confusion. In that uncomfortable moment when you realize you can't go back to who you were. But you don't yet know who you're becoming, and that terrifies people. Because reinvention means letting go, not just of things, but of identities, of stories you told yourself for years. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how people see me. All those little labels that made life feel predictable, safe, gone. And without them, you feel empty. Undefined, like a question with no answer. But here's the twist. That emptiness isn't weakness. It's space. Space to build something new. Something real this time. Not something shaped by expectations or fear or the need to fit in. Something that actually belongs to you. See, when you're forced to start again, you don't just rebuild. You choose. Every piece of yourself becomes a decision. What stays? What goes? What matters? What doesn't? And for the first time, those choices aren't influenced by who you used to be. They're influenced by what you've learned. The pain, that's the best teacher, isn't it? It strips away your illusions. It shows you what doesn't work. It exposes your weaknesses, your patterns, your blind spots. And while most people run from that kind of truth, you're standing in it, learning from it, using it. That's where reinvention becomes dangerous. Because now, you're not just rebuilding blindly. You're rebuilding with awareness, with intention, with a kind of clarity that only comes from losing everything that once defined you. You stop trying to impress people. You stop chasing approval. You stop copying paths that were never meant for you. And instead, you start creating something unpredictable, something they can't control, something they can't understand. Because they're still stuck, trying to maintain their image, while you've already destroyed yours and walked away from the pieces. Reinvention isn't about becoming better in their eyes. It's about becoming real in your own. And once you've tasted that kind of transformation, once you've seen how easily an identity can be broken and rebuilt, you stop fearing change. You start welcoming it. You realize you're not fixed, not limited, not trapped in one version of yourself forever. You're fluid, adaptable, capable of becoming something entirely different again and again, every time life tries to tear you down. And that's the part they'll never be ready for. Pain. Now that's something everyone claims they want to avoid. They run from it, hide from it, numb it, pretend it doesn't exist. They build entire lives around comfort, around safety, around never feeling too much of anything. And yet, pain always finds them. Funny how that works. But when it does, most people break. Not because the pain is too strong, but because they were never prepared to face it. They treated it like an enemy, something to escape, something to silence as quickly as possible. You see, they misunderstand pain. They think it's there to destroy them. But pain doesn't destroy you. It exposes you. It shows you every crack you tried to ignore, every weakness you covered up, every illusion you convinced yourself was real. It strips away your comfort, your certainty, your control, and leaves you standing there with nothing but raw truth. And truth hurts. That's why they run. But you didn't run, did you? You stood there and felt it, every sharp edge of it, every sleepless night, every moment where it felt like everything inside you was collapsing. You didn't have a choice, and that's exactly why it changed you. Because pain has a way of forcing growth, whether you want it or not. It pushes you into corners where you can't rely on your old habits. It breaks patterns that once felt unbreakable. It demands that you adapt, that you think differently, that you become something stronger just to survive it. And survival, that's where strength begins. Not the kind of strength people show off. Not the fake confidence, the loud voices, the empty bravado. No, real strength is quiet. It's built in those moments no one sees. When you're alone, struggling, questioning everything, and still choosing to keep going. That's where you're forged, piece by piece. Pain teaches you things comfort never could. It sharpens your awareness. It makes you more observant, more cautious, more resilient. You start seeing through people, through situations, through lies you once believed without question. You stop being naive. You stop expecting life to be fair. And in a strange way, that makes you stronger. Because now you're not easily shaken. You've already faced the worst parts of yourself, the fear, the doubt, the anger, the emptiness. You've sat with it. You've survived it. So what else is there to fear? Pain didn't break you. It rebuilt you. Not into something soft and comfortable, but into something sharper, something more aware, something that doesn't fall apart at the first sign of struggle. And that kind of strength, it's not given. It's earned through every moment you thought you wouldn't make it, and somehow did. Nothing to lose. Now that's where things start to get interesting. People spend their entire lives protecting things. Their image, their reputation, their comfort, their little fragile sense of control. Every move they make is calculated not to win, but to avoid losing. They play it safe, stay quiet, follow the rules, all. Because they're afraid something might slip through their fingers. And that fear, it owns them. It tells them when to speak, when to stay silent, when to take risks, when to hide. It keeps them small, predictable, manageable, easy to understand, easy to control. But you've already lost it. Or at least, you've felt what it's like to stand at that edge where everything you thought mattered didn't matter anymore. Where the things you were so afraid of losing disappeared anyway, and you survived. That's the part they don't get. They think losing everything is the worst thing that can happen. But they've never actually been there. They've never felt that strange, unsettling calm that comes after the storm, when there's nothing left to protect, no expectations to meet, no image to maintain, no approval to chase, just you and a world that suddenly looks very different. Because when you've got nothing to lose, fear loses its grip. What are they going to take from you? Your status, your comfort, your reputation. Those things already proved how temporary they are. They come and go like a bad joke, and now you've seen behind the curtain. So why would you play safe anymore? That's where the shift happens. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for the right moment. You stop worrying about what people will say, how they'll react, whether they'll approve. All those invisible barriers that once controlled your choices, they start to crumble, and in their place something else grows. Boldness, not the loud, attention-seeking kind. No, this is quieter, colder, more calculated. It's the kind of boldness that comes from understanding consequences and deciding they're no longer enough to stop you. You take risks others wouldn't dare to take. You speak truths others are too afraid to admit. You walk paths others avoid, not because you're reckless, but because you're no longer paralyzed by the fear of losing something that was never permanent to begin with. That's what makes you dangerous. Not chaos, not destruction. Clarity. You see the game for what it is. You understand how people move, how they think, how they limit themselves. And because you've already faced the worst case scenario, you don't hesitate the way they do. While they're busy calculating risks, you're already acting. While they're protecting what they have, you're building something new. While they're afraid of falling, you've already learned how to stand back up. Nothing to lose doesn't make you reckless. It makes you free in a way they can't comprehend. Free to move without hesitation. Free to act without fear. Free to become something they'll never see coming. A fresh start. People romanticize it, don't they? Like it's some soft sunrise, some gentle new chapter where everything magically falls into place. Clean slate, new energy, second chances. Sounds nice. But that's not how it feels when you're actually standing there at the beginning again, with nothing but uncertainty staring back at you. It's uncomfortable. It's quiet. It's unfamiliar. And most people hate unfamiliar. They cling to what they know, even if it's broken, even if it's slowly destroying them. just because it feels safe. They'd rather stay stuck in a life that's falling apart than face the unknown that comes with starting over. But you're already there. You've stepped into that empty space where there's no script, no guarantees, no clear direction. And yeah, it feels unstable, like the ground beneath you hasn't fully settled yet. That's because it hasn't. A fresh start isn't stable, it's open. And openness, that's where the advantage hides. See, when everything is new, nothing is fixed. There are no patterns locking you in, no expectations forcing you down a certain path, no past mistakes holding you hostage. Unless you choose to carry them with you, you get to decide differently this time. Not based on who you were, but based on what you know now. And that changes everything, because experience, especially the painful kind, sharpens your instincts. You start recognizing red flags faster. You start making decisions with more awareness, more intention. You stop repeating the same mistakes, not because someone told you not to, but because you've felt the consequences. That's the advantage they don't see. To them, starting over looks like a setback, like you're behind, like you've lost time, like you're weaker, because you had to begin again. But they're still carrying their old patterns, their old fears, their old limitations. You left yours behind, or at least, you're finally aware of them. And awareness, that's power. A fresh start gives you the rare chance to rebuild without illusions, to choose better habits, better paths, better standards. Not perfectly, but consciously. You're not guessing anymore. You're adapting, evolving. And while they're stuck repeating cycles, you're breaking them. That's what makes a fresh start dangerous in the best way possible. It's not about going back to where you were. It's about going somewhere entirely different, somewhere they wouldn't even recognize. Because this version of you, the one standing at the beginning again, isn't the same as before. This one has seen things, felt things, learned things, and that changes how you move, how you think, how you choose. So while they see emptiness, you're standing in opportunity. While they see risk, you're seeing potential. While they hesitate, you begin again. But this time with eyes wide open, mind sharper, and nothing holding you back from building something far more powerful than anything you had before.